Global X interviews social entrepreneurs who tackle some of the world's biggest problems. They are pioneers of innovation that benefit humanity.
Well, my name is Louise Arbour. I'm the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. I'm by training and by profession a lawyer and a judge. I was a judge in my own country in Canada for many years. My current work, of course, is under a mandate to promote and protect all human rights of all people everywhere at all times. I do that very much based on my firm belief in the law and legal process. Before I became the High Commissioner, I was for several years the chief prosecutor of the International Criminal Tribunals for the former Yugoslavia and for Rwanda. And in the context of that work, I indicted President Milosevic during the height of the war in Kosovo. I went on the ground on several times. I met several refugees, Kosovar Albanians who had fled their country under the pressure of the Serb army. After I came back to my office, a journalist came and told me that he had met a very old woman in one of these refugee camps. Her husband had been killed, her two sons had disappeared. She was extremely traumatized and victimized. And he asked her, if you get a chance to go back to your country, what will you do? And she said, if I can ever go back, what I will do is I will kill all the Serbs. Then she paused and she said, but if I can't do that, I would like to talk to that woman judge. Now the story for me is that for the first time ever, here's a simple person who acknowledged that there was an alternative to revenge, that the international community was offering her another option. Her first choice was very clear. It was still revenge. But the mere fact that she could articulate in her own visions, she could see that there was another way of settling grievances, I thought was an enormous progress for humanity. I'm very optimistic by nature. I don't think I could do this work if I were not. You have to have enormous faith because not only of my own efforts, but mostly of my colleagues do, the ones who work on the ground on the day-to-day basis. You have to believe that it's going to make a difference. But I think I probably would have to say that I have to be a long-term optimist. In the history of world affairs, 10 years is still a very short time span. I would love to say that I think in 10 years we will have reduced or eliminated all conflicts, particularly armed conflicts. I have no such, I have no basis to believe this will be the case. In fact, we know now that the best predictor for whether there will be a conflict in any part of the world is whether there was one in the last 5 years, which means we don't do a very good job at conflict resolution in the long term. So I am very concerned that in 10 years' time, I think we'll still see a world that is hugely conflictual, in large part because we're not addressing the root causes of conflict, including the outrageous disparities of the distribution of wealth on this planet between states and within states. And until we seriously start addressing that, I think we still will live in a world that is extremely conflictual. For young people now, particularly because they have so much information, they're so heavily solicited, in fact, by so many good causes, I would say, don't walk away just because you think you can't make a difference. In my own work, sometimes I feel there are lots of things I should be doing that I'm not doing. I should be more concerned about the environment. Pick a cause, anyone. Involve yourself. And most importantly, be a citizen. Insist on your governments. Vote, pay attention, tell your governments what you want them to do and what you will not tolerate that they do on your behalf. So getting involved, I think, is the key, but I understand for them that the choice sometimes is a bit overwhelming, and the temptation is just to leave it to other do-gooders to do the work for them.
Global X is also on Social Edge at socialedge.org.